On 3FM 92.7, welcome to the news. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyeman. Coming up this afternoon, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, directs University of Ghana to immediately reverse 2025-26 academic year fee increase or face serious sanctions. Also this afternoon, late Member of Parliament for Ayawaso East Constituency, Naser Toure Mahama, laid to rest following his death at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital after a period of illness. An abducted Venezuelan leader, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife set to appear in a New York court today on drug-related charges as President Donald Trump insists the U.S. is in control of Venezuela. Details of these and more shortly. Many thanks for joining us. Let's begin the bulletin from here. The University of Ghana has ordered to, with immediate effect, reverse the 25% increase of fees. The university has been further ordered to refund all students who pay the excess fees in what the GTEC describes as a flagrant breach of rules guiding fees increases and implementation. According to GTEC, the action by the University of Ghana comes despite a notice to all universities in the country to avoid charging fees without prior approval. In a statement, GTEC ordered UG to reverse the additional fees charged. Let's walk you through the details of the statement. And so it says, UG must reverse any fee increases and or dues immediately, credit all continuing students who have overpaid compared to last academic year's fees for the next academic year, refund the difference to final year students who have paid in excess of the fees for last academic year, and also revert all dues, including SRC and GRASAC dues, to last academic year's rates. UG must also suspend any new fees, such as the 75th anniversary dues and development levy, if newly introduced, except for those that were already in place, and the fees must be set at the last academic year's rate. And so these are some of the directives or actionables coming from the statement from GTEC to University of Ghana on the need to reverse the fees they had introduced this year. Let's stay on the line and speak to educationist Divide Bear on what he makes of GTEC's intervention in this matter. Mr. Bear, thank you for talking to us this afternoon. How significant is the GTEC's directive to the University of Ghana breach as described by the Commission?
All right, thank you and good afternoon. It's very significant to protect the interest of students in the university over there. And I must commend GTEC for playing their watchdog role. In fact, this is what they are also set up to do, to regulate our tertiary education. And in time like this, when students are agitating for arbitrary increase in fees, it's just right that they intervene. And I'm very sure that UG will respect the directive given by their regulator, because the regulator has include with the legal authority to use such directive. So I'm expecting that UG will accordingly comply and revert to the original side, because there are rules spelled out when you want to increase, whether it is coming from the student body as SRC or it's coming from the university themselves. There are rules that spell out how it should be. There must be an approval. Even there has to be an approval from Parliament when you look at the fees and charges act, and there has to be an approval from Parliament. So you don't have to say it is coming from students and therefore you just announce it. Still, there has to be a laid down procedure for it to be formalized and therefore communicated to students. So once UG has not gone through the formal approach when it comes to fees approval before announcing that, it's just right that they comply with the directive given by GTEC.
And so how do we create that balance with the university autonomy in financial management with the oversight role of bodies like GTEC, so that we don't maybe come back to the situation that we find ourselves in today?
Universities have their autonomy already, but we can't let them have their sole autonomy without an oversight. Otherwise, it will be chaotic, they can charge fees and nobody can intervene. Then the wisdom of the premise of that particular Act 2020 1080, they sort of write that look, all public institutions, including schools, have to submit their fees for Parliament to approve. Otherwise, you and I will go to passport office and then they announce any fee at all, and they without any approval, without any recourse to Parliamentary approval or any other institution of government for that matter, charging any fee at all. Then you and I will continue to bear the brunt of it. So it is right that although they have their autonomy, there must be an oversight. Otherwise, it is the ordinary citizens that will be bearing the brunt. So their autonomy is rightly guaranteed. They are not saying, the law is not saying, do not charge fees, you can charge, but it must be approved given the socioeconomic condition. What is the situation on ground? Is what you are charging? Is this something that is prevailing market condition or can actually be handled by students at the prevailing market situation? So for me, the autonomy is already guaranteed, but autonomy does not mean that there can't be an oversight. In fact, GTEC is not saying do not charge, but they are saying if you are going to charge, then the right channel has to be used. That is all that they are talking about. So I do not see it as an interfering in their autonomy to charge fees.
Right, and there were lots of students who were looking up to the GTEC to intervene in the matter. And now that GTEC has done, how does this translate into confidence in administrations for the students, especially at a time where we are even experiencing some form of rising cost of living?
Yes, so it's good that GTEC has stepped in for the students. They have actually listened to the plight of the student, the cry of the student, and have stepped in. And that is, even if the student were not to have complained, it's just ordinary that GTEC, as the regulator, knowing that there's a mistake when it comes to fees, they have to ordinarily step in, even without any complaint, anybody. So once the student have complained, GTEC has stepped in, and I'm expecting the university to comply. And the important thing is going forward how to avoid some of this situation. The university will have to know that any form of fee, whether it's coming from students or even coming from alumni body or any other institution, there's a procedure for approving fees in our tertiary institution, and that it has to be followed. So it doesn't sit well with me when they usually communicated that it is not them that is charging, but rather it's coming from a student body. That is not place. The university will have to know that whatever institution or body it is coming from, once it is going to be announced by the institution or going to be implemented in the institution, the right channel has to be used. But very importantly, students' body also have to be very engaging when it comes to fees they want to charge their colleagues, SRC or alumni body, well, specifically SRC. They have to be very engaging. I don't know the sort of consultation they do with their own colleagues to them before charging. Otherwise, some of these things, agitation also not going to have arrest.
Especially because we also know that these unions must represent the students' interest.
Exactly. That's the most important. You have to protect or represent the student interest. So if you are going to charge fees that at the end of the day, your members are going to agitate, then it asks how consultative it has been.
Yeah.
So it's very important that the student body also actually do a lot of consultation before taking steps when it comes to fee charges in our tertiary institutions.
Right, Divine. So before I let you go, could this directive set a precedent for stricter enforcement across other tertiary institutions? What lessons should other universities learn from this case? Yeah,
the most common thing is that all fees charged by our university have to be approved, regardless of which body or group it is coming from in the university. So our tertiary institution beyond UG would have to take a clue from this to understand that there is a law that provides for fees in our public institutions for fees to be approved, and that must be adhered to. We cannot condone arbitrary charge of fees. So we all have to respect that. And as I mentioned, regardless of who it is coming from, that the rights policy must be adhered to.
Right, Divine, thank you so much for talking to us. Divine Pe is an education researcher and also an educationist, talking to us about that directive from GTEC, the University of Ghana, for them to revert any new fees or any new charges imposed as fees on students. Let's just stay on the education front, because the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has warned that it will not hesitate to direct its members to close down schools if attacks and assaults on teachers continue in communities across the country. According to NAT, the growing incidents of violence against teachers are disrupting the smooth running of education and creating an unsafe working environment for educators. The association says teachers deserve protection and respect and will take firm action if their safety is not guaranteed. My colleague Daniel Opoku is sitting through that conference by NAT and joins us on phone. Danny, thank you for making time to talk to us. What demands have the president of NAT been making apart from the issues of safety of teachers?
Right. So the president of NAT, Reverend Isaac Owusu, began his statement by acknowledging what government has been able to do for teachers, especially the decision by the president to be able to put across a housing unit for all teachers. And also was asking government to review the single spine salary structure. The single spine salary structure is a major government policy which was promulgated in 2010. And from 2010 till now, there have been issues with regard to how much workers are receiving on the policy. And they believe that a lot of them are receiving very low salaries every month. So there's a need for the president to have a second look at the single spine pay policy and conduct a proper review of that, so that there's a benefit of workers, so that the workers' salary will be able to improve. Another one too has to do with the assault on teachers. If you could recall, last year a lot of teachers were assaulted. There are instances, a lot of them. I remember one of the guys also lost his eyes, and also a teacher was assaulted in the eastern region for purported to have stopped some WASIS candidate from copying. Or from copying so that they'll be able to pass. All these things came up before the teachers should be assaulted. It was one of the major demands that the president made to the current president of Ghana, President Mahama, to have a second look at that, and also to be able to strengthen and tighten security for teachers across nationwide. And the position of NAT is that this year, if any teacher should be assaulted, there's a possibility to ask the teachers to withdraw themselves from the school and also possibly ask those schools to be shut down. These are some of the major demands the president of NAT has been putting across.
Let's listen to him now.
Let's listen to the president of NAT.
All right, Danny, we'll bring our listeners that audio subsequently, but what did the Minister of Education also say about the requests the teachers have been making?
Right. So the sector minister of education already agrees, so he's the sector minister for the teachers. And also acknowledge the fact there's a need to have a proper housing unit for teachers. And he has renewed a commitment to ensure that the policy is being implemented. As we speak currently, about 500 million Ghana cedis has been earmarked in the 2026 budget to begin the housing policy for teachers across the country. And secondly, a major issue has to do with pensions, where we have a 3-tier pension system. The first year being owned or being implemented by SNIT. The second one is the second-tier pension that's being managed by trustees and pension fund managers. And the third one is a voluntary. The third one is a voluntary of the Provident Fund payment. And the Minister of Education renewed commitment that pensions are going to be improved and the benefits of workers are going to be improved henceforth. That's basically what he has been talking about. And he has renewed commitment to work collaboratively with the leadership of NAT to ensure that we have a peaceful industrial climate going forward, especially 2026.
Right, Danny, let's listen to what the minister said.
Right.
Let me assure you that Excellency John Dramani Mahama will reset pensions with the revision of Act 766 to respond to some of the institutional and administrative challenges confronting its implementation and to improve, if we can, what will become the lump sum in order to guarantee post-retirement security. You know, not President, when you started your Chubui, one of the unique features of President John Dramani Mahama is his incredible mental acuity. The president turned Harun, now he's in a Chubui. It's now in the Jubilee labor mood. So the president recognizes when you want to send strong messages, or you use the words, we demand. The president heard you very well, we demand. So since I do not intend to make a formal remark, just to assure you that the outcome of the West African Senior Secondary Certificate exam was worrying and of concern to the President, the Ministry of Education, and to all of you. So let me now address you as brothers and sisters, and to challenge you that the outcome of WASI, does that reflect the quality of our teachers or the quality of our teachers?
Right, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu there. Danny, we also know President Mahama is at this event, and he has been responding to the demands by NAT on the attacks as well as the pensions. What has he been saying?
Right, so President John Dramani Mahama was also very much concerned about the assault on teachers, and particularly what's happening in the eastern region where the students attack the teacher basically for not allowing them to prepare and write the exam. And he said that he got to know of the video, and when he watched the video, he made some few calls to identify exactly what happened. And he was told that the teacher said he had been settled with some amount of 20,000 Ghana cedis, and for that reason, there was no need to pursue the matter. But one listen critical to what the president said. He has released commitment to pursue and ensure that the interests of teachers are protected. The security of teachers are protected. So this year, we are not likely to have a lot of teachers. We are not likely to have teachers being assaulted, because the president is saying he's going to ensure teachers are protected. And that's a firm commitment from the president, with the leadership of NAT, and the entire members of NAT are very much happy with that. And will be able to mark the president according to his word, that teachers are not going to be assaulted. And also about the service time pay policy. He also talked about the need to have a review of pay. If you recall, when he took over last year, at the middle part of last year, he mentioned the review of the policy, where he said that a committee will be set up. And indeed, the president is going to have that one done. Hopefully by this year, the policy is going to be reviewed, so the salaries of workers and for them to have improved benefits and within the public space. And also the issue about pensions,
right,
is something that the president says is going to look at.
Okay, we can listen to the president now, and thank you for bringing us those updates.
A few years ago, we did a new pension reform. Everybody was happy, tier 2, tier 3. It looks like the time has come for us to look at it again. And so again, TUC, as the leader of organized labor, raised it with us. And I told Comrade Joshua and his team that we are prepared to put together a working team to look at the whole pension reform and come up with some suggestions and see how we can improve it so that everybody is happy and feels secure going into retirement. And a safe and secure work environment is a must. Indeed, I saw that video of I think it was a maths teacher being beaten because when he was invigilating, he refused to allow our children to cheat. And they had a sense of entitlement. And so why did you not allow us to cheat? And the unfortunate thing is that the matter went to the police station, and the parents of the students went to the police, and they said they settled the matter amicably. I mean, how is that? This is assault, it's criminal, you know. But when we inquired, the police also said, I think the teacher was compensated, so he didn't want to press charges anymore. But I said, at least the children should have been booked, they should have been taken through the legal process, and at least, if nothing at all, they should have been bonded to be of good behavior for a period of time. And then we believe that justice has been done. But just for parents to come and, you know, pay a little compensation, it will encourage others to do the same. You know, and so as for assaults on teachers, I am with you 100%. We will deal with it. And so it's a singular honor for me to address this distinguished gathering at the 54th National Delegate Conference of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, convened under the timely and forward-looking theme, Education and Development, the GTEC at 50.
President Mahama giving the National Association of Teachers the strongest assurance that teacher safety and well-being will be priority on his agenda. This is the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. Let's move away from education to something rather sad. And the late Member of Parliament for Ayawaso East, Naser Toure, has been laid to rest at the Medina Muslim Cemetery in accordance with Islamic tradition. As part of the burial procedure, a janaza prayer was held at the Ayawaso East Constituency office of the NDC along the Kanda Highway. The prayer was led by the National Chief Imam Sheikh Usmanu Sharutu and attended by family members, colleagues, party officials, and residents from the constituency. Following the prayer, the body of the late legislator was later conveyed to the Medina Cemetery, where he was buried in line with Islamic tradition. The 60-year-old member for the National Democratic Congress NDC side is a native of Kue in the Nkwanta South District of the Oti region. He reportedly died at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital after a period of illness. It was his fourth term in Parliament, having entered the House in 2013 representing the people of Ayawaso East. Meanwhile, some party bigwigs and members of Parliament have thronged the residence of the late MP to pay their last respect. My colleague George Quainin interacted with some of them.
My condolences to the bereaved family, NDC, the entire Ayawaso East, and Greater Accra at large. Naser has been a pillar of NDC. He is the caucus chairman of the Greater Accra MPs in Parliament. In fact, he doesn't talk. He's a humble person. And his project in the constituency, cannot be, left behind. And you could see the constituent, say a lot of things he has done. Naser always come to me as a regional minister to ask of slots for his constituents. What I keep on telling Naser, we all call it. So let's find means of getting slots for our constituents. And this is the enthusiasm of Naser, making sure that he get what he wants for his constituents. He'll be dearly missed, trust me. He has done in Parliament. He's always seated, he's always present, he's always participating in everything that happens in Parliament. So, Naser, may his soul rest in perfect peace.
Do you know he was sick?
Yes, for a time. He was absent for 2 weeks, and we were told that he wasn't feeling well. And so we thought this normal feelings because we all fall sick. And we don't come to Parliament. So when I was told within 2 weeks looking for him, just after the season, we were just trying to reach him as a caucus chairman to see the way forward. We couldn't reach him, but later we were told that he wasn't feeling well. So we thought it was just the normal, it was just...
Go and see the regional minister for an assignment. So after I was trying to reach him so that I'll give him the feedback. But I've not been able to, in fact, get him. So yesterday we heard this sad news. So in fact, we really miss somebody, a great man, because he's our caucus chairman in Parliament. So,
Honorable Naser was a great man. I can remember him in many ways. In the Chamber of Parliament, he sits on my right. And more often than not, when we are seated, he will look at me, he will wave at me, I will wave at him. And then sometimes if we have caucus matters, because he's the caucus chairman, and he was the caucus chairman, I was the vice.
Some members of Parliament there sharing their tribute and fond memories about the late Ayawaso MP, Honorable Naser Toure, and may his soul rest in peace, and our condolence to the family and all those who've been affected. Away from that, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Venezuela's new leader, Delcy Rodriguez, that she could pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro, if she doesn't do what is right. His comments come as the country's deposed President Nicolas Maduro is set to appear in a New York court later today. Maduro and Flores are charged in the U.S. with narco terrorism, conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and weapons offenses. Trump has threatened further military action against Venezuela, as well as against Colombia's President Gustavo Petro. He also warned Mexico it must get its act together. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has insisted that the U.S. is not at war with Venezuela after airstrikes in Caracas on Saturday led to Maduro and his wife being taken into custody and transported to the U.S. Trump also promised U.S. oil companies would move into the country to fix infrastructure and start making money for the country. Meanwhile, former United Nations Senior Governance Advisor Professor Ayawaso Agyeman and Professor Daniel Dramani Kipo, Associate Professor at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, LESIAD, have strongly condemned what they describe as the abduction of the Venezuelan president and his wife, characterizing it as a blatant display of power by the United States government. Speaking on 3FM Sunrise, the two governors and international relations experts expressed deep concern about the implications of such an action for international law, state sovereignty, and global power relations.
It's clear that under the current American administration, there's no regard for international law. United Nations, I don't know if they issue a statement. If they have, it's the usual diplomatic that they will issue. European countries who were big part of the invention of the new international security order after the Second World War, they are almost moved. Some are just pleading for for stability, for understanding, blah, blah, the usual political talk. And nobody. The fact is that Donald Trump has covered the whole world because clearly he's determined to use brute force to achieve the aims. And what's the aim? To make America great again, is to recapture the economy of the global village.
It's a show of power. It's quite not the best. There could have been other ways to deal with it rather than this particular approach. So it's not the best for the country. And unfortunately, as you rightly said it, the whole world is watching. And I see we are not seeing. It's only that countries are condemning, but it has been carried out. Now, one of the most threatening aspects is that he has said, President Trump, that America will continue to have control over the country until transition can obtain. And that clearly would depict an issue of colonialism because of trying to take control of the country. And that will be like coming to colonize the country. And that certainly is worrisome.
That was the voice of Governance and International Relations expert Professor Agyeman Bafo Dia, and that will be it for the news, midday news on 3FM 92.7, which came to you from our studios here at Adesawe Kanda Accra. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyeman. Log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon.